I really think it would be fun for people to learn a little bit more about your real estate journey. Scott, you poked at it a little bit with the house hacking. Why don't we start with you? How did you, or I guess let me ask you this question. When did you decide real estate was going to be a part of your financial independence path?
Yeah, so I got first. I graduated college in 2013, and then discovered Mr. Money Mustache around that same time. A fun blog on personal finance, and became a huge zealous fan of this. I was financial freedom through badassity. How do I save as much as I possibly can, and get my lifestyle costs really low, apply that all into index funds. And I thought, okay, this is exactly what I want to do, but 7, 10, 15 years is still a very long time. How can I shorten that even further? And so that's where I began to kind of couple the Mr. Money Mustache wealth building approach, the really thrifty and low cost lifestyle with real estate. And I was like, okay, my biggest expense is housing. What if I could eliminate that? And that's where I came across this concept of house hacking. And at 23, 24 years old, I bought my first duplex. I put down 5%, $12,000 on a $240,000 duplex, rented out one side for $1,100, brought a roommate for $550 on the other side, and basically was able to live for free or very low cost, probably maintenance and all that kind of stuff I was doing. Maybe, you could argue I was paying a little bit to live, but still a lot better than paying rent. And so that was kind of my starter journey. And then over the years, I bought a couple more properties, and now a portfolio in Denver here with a little under $2 million in assets with a partner, and been growing from there.
That's incredible. And I understand you are a newly married man, so we're talking to Samantha about her situation. Maybe they have a slight difference in opinion on where to go with their home buying journey. How do you incorporate your wife's passions and her desires and everything with regard to that with your real estate plans?
Yeah, so we people make fun of me sometimes because we actually discussed all of our goals and this kind of stuff on our honeymoon. One of those days, we've got out the spreadsheet and all that kind of good stuff. But basically, we kind of decided we have a pretty good situation where we are financially free, right? And that was something that I brought into the marriage. And because of that, we could live anywhere. We could have a ton of options. And so we actually decided based on that conversation to rent right now. And I currently rent rather than own, because I don't think I'm going to be in this location for that long or want those options within a year or two. And we kind of got a place that, hey, we're gonna rent and purchase the living conditions that we want in the short run, and then kind of sustain that forever, basically. And if one day we decide we want to live in a certain spot for 5, 10 plus years, then we might settle down and buy. But basically, we're kind of on the same page that one of the great things about pursuing financial freedom early in life is that you can have these options to experience different locations and different lifestyles over the course of your lifetime. And that's something that we want to maintain the flexibility to achieve.
That's incredible. And especially after the year that we just had, having some flexibility to work where you want and kind of enjoy the country is fantastic. So talk about...
Nobody wants to live in fancy condos right now either. Yeah, and it's wonderful. True. So we got a great deal.
Yeah. That is true. Yeah. You don't want to be locked up in a place right now. Absolutely. So you're talking about having long-term flexibility for where you want to go. You've got $2 million in assets right now. Do you see this portfolio growing more? I mean, what are your long-term plans as you sort of look maybe 10 years from now? Where do you see your real estate path going?
Well, I really like BiggerPockets. And so real estate's only one component of my portfolio, right? I've got the real estate portfolio, stocks and index funds, retirement accounts, interest in BiggerPockets. And then, Mindy and I are authors. So the books are something else that we call it. So the goal is kind of just keep having fun, doing what I love with this stuff, living the best lifestyle that I can with my wife. And the idea would be to continue building that diversified portfolio kind of with the pillars of five, with those 4 major asset classes, and then continue piling any savings that I generate on top of that into more diversified income streams. So it's kind of it's a luxurious position to be in, but I'll start it with the house hack, with those kinds of things. So that's I guess what's next here for us. I don't know if that's too vague, but that's
I love
kind
it.
of where I'm at.
You've got multiple passive and happy active income streams. I love it. Very cool. Very cool. Well, Mindy, let's jump over to you. I would really be interested to understand, when did you buy your first home, and then when did you, I guess, realize this could be something that could make a difference in your family's journey?
So I bought my first home. It was a condo, and I bought it in 1996. I paid $49,900 for this fabulous, amazing condo. I bought it because I was tired of throwing my money away on rent. So this was 100 years ago that I bought my first condo, and back then you bought a house. That's what you do. You buy a house as you become an adult. Renting is for fools. Sorry, Scott. So I bought a condo. It came with a $200 a month HOA fee, which is not uncommon. It had a pool. I thought, oh, this is going to be so awesome. I used the pool 0 times in the 4 years that I lived there. So that was definitely money well spent. The second month that I lived there, the HOA sent a letter that said, hey, we need a new boiler for all the buildings because heat was included. That was another thing that was really desirable to me. I like to be in a warm space. Now I have learned to put on a sweater, but at the time I wanted to be able to crank the heat as much as possible. Hey, all the boilers are failing. We need to replace them all. We're going to double your assessment for the foreseeable future. I don't know if they had a time limit on it or not, but so every month that I lived there, minus the first month, they had a special assessment of double my HOA fees, which was not something that I had planned on. And I thought this was going to be a horrible, horrible thing. But it turned out that when I got married, my husband actually had a house. And in my mind at the time, a house was better than a condo. And I was very upset that they pulled this bait and switch on me. Oh, hey, now you got to pay twice as much for this HOA fee. I didn't do any research on the HOA or, there's a lot of mistakes I made there. But when I sold it for $75,000. And if you remember, I only bought it for $50,000. So I just made $25,000. I did all the math at the end of owning the property, and it cost me $1,000 a year to live there. That's not so bad. At a time that similar places were renting for $500 a month, I spent $1,000 and lived there for $4,000 and lived there for 4 years. So it turned out to be a good decision. I loved the fact that I sold it. I was super excited about that appreciation. I did some work to it. Mostly, it was all cosmetic because it's a condo. And I was so excited when I sold it and got that huge check. It paid off all of my random little bits of debt, and I entered my marriage debt free. And I thought, man, I want to do this again. So we fixed up my husband's house and we moved to a condo in the city, the second condo that we owned that also had a special assessment, I think the second month that we lived there. And I was like, really? You can't do this. They can, and they do. So if you're going to buy a condo, make a really, really, really informed decision. But this is back when home ownership was the must-have. So we do a real estate investment strategy called the live-in flip. You move into a house that is not very pretty. You make it very pretty, and then you sell it. If you live there for 2 years, you don't pay any capital gains. So I have made, probably $600,000 or $800,000 that I have paid this much tax on. 0. I paid as much tax on that capital gains as everybody listening combined. We all paid the same amount. It was 0. And I like that. I would happily pay my fair share of taxes, but when my fair share is 0, according to the government, I'll pay that. That's a lot. I mean, I don't make $600,000 or $800,000 a year right now. And that's over the course of like 20 years, but still.
That's an incredible amount of money, and it sounds like it's something you both enjoy. Some people might hear that and be like, I really like living in my home for 25 years. I love having a spot, but to you guys, it's an adventure and you enjoy it. Is that right?
I think that's really important to say. We do enjoy the process of fixing up. We enjoy the construction project. We do all the work ourselves. We have learned all the things. Big, huge, adding a second story, I'll let somebody else come in and do the structural parts, but we do everything else ourselves. And it's fun to see it. It's exciting to know that I can spend a little bit more on the tile because I'm going to pay 0 to install it because I'm doing it. And yeah, your time is worth money or whatever, but I get all that time and money back when I sell it for a great big chunk of change. I will give you a real life example. I just sold a house last Friday. We bought it for $176,000 in 2013. We put about $100,000 of our dollars into the house, paying somebody to add on a second story, buying the materials and all of that. And we closed last week for $598,000.
Wow, that's incredible.
And the gain is tax-free.
And the gain is tax-free. Yeah, all three of us on this call right now paid the same amount of tax on that profit.
That is incredible. So we got Scott with the house hack, Mindy with the live and flip, and so Samantha's making some decisions on their first home. These could be real options for Samantha and her husband as they, get in and they say, hey, well, maybe we want to get something new or upgrade it in a couple of years, fix this thing up, flip it. Or, hey, if we want to have some people help us to pay our mortgage each month, which I did too, Scott, when I was in my 20s as well. It helped me a lot. I got 3 roommates and paid $0 for my mortgage, which was fantastic. Both of you, thank you so much. I really appreciate this conversation. Let's talk about this new book. Where can people find it, and when can they find it?
The book is called First Time Homebuyer, The Complete Playbook to Avoiding Rookie Mistakes, and it is available on March 8th at biggerpockets.com/homebuyerbook, or available on March 23rd at every place you can buy a book.
Excellent. Very cool. And everybody who's listening to a podcast right now, tell people where they can listen to BiggerPockets Money.
Oh, you can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Google, whatever the Google thing is, where podcasts are found. Google Play, I believe.
iOS.
Yeah, but yeah, BiggerPockets Money, where we you can find us on YouTube if you're interested in watching us, and Mindy's facial expressions whenever I say have great jokes and those kinds of things. But yeah, we've had a good time there. We talk about personal finance, financial independence, and kind of every story we can get our hands on from every background we can think of to that journey with money.
Excellent. Well, everybody, if you enjoy this show, definitely check out BiggerPockets Money. Type it into your favorite podcast player right now. Check it out. Scott and Mindy, thank you so much for your time today.
Andy, thanks for having us. This was fun.